Hello, I'm David coming from Robotics Network. I'm here with CyberMoon 19256. They are the winning alliance captain of the European Premier event. They have a really awesome robot. They can shoot from anywhere from the field really fast, and also a really innovative double park mechanism coming from behind the robot.
Hello, so I'm Vlad, I'm the engineering leader at CyberMoon. We'll talk about the base of the robot first. We started the season with a mecanum drivetrain, but we quickly switched to a swerve drivetrain. But after some testing before the European events, we decided to switch back to a mecanum drivetrain. But because we didn't have time to do a full rebuild, we built these custom mecanum modules that kind of resemble the swerve modules, so they could fit in the robot. So they're actuated by they have a 6,000 RPM motor with some gear reductions and then a bevel gear reduction right here. Yeah, so that's how we managed to put them on basically the same robot, just with some changes.
And what's the final RPM?
The final RPM is about 507 RPM on the wheel.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. DECODE Robotics is inspiring teams to build better robots with their new array of FTC team options. Check out their updated bevel gears and Maverick hex shaft motors, Planetary gearbox options, and 6mm hex components and shafts for extreme power transmission. Go to studecode.com/robots to learn more and apply for discounts.
So, continuing, can you talk me more about your intake?
Yeah, so we have an intake with 3 stages. The first stage is compliance, so it's actuated by an axon right here with a servo arm that's on a spring. So we actually can set the height, which is the height of the intake for a proper collection. And it also helps us when we encounter other robots. It's a little bit compliant, so it doesn't break. It just it moves with when we hit other robots. So the first stage is actuated by the first 2 stages are actuated by a motor right here. This motor right here actually is the first 2 stages, and then when we want to shoot, we don't have a separate motor. We actually have a PTO system that engages right here the 3rd stage with the same motor. So that's how we managed to only use 1 motor and still have fast shooting on a robot.
Yeah, and I see that you have a spring on the arm of the intake.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to use it like
So
that?
the spring, we could have used just a metal rod, but the spring is to help with compliance. If you look right here, when we move this, if the servo was powered, it would be hard, so the spring would just bend a little bit, and when it wouldn't break the arm when we knock something, you know?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. Build your alliance with so many other FIRST alumni who go to Kettering University. Every student at Kettering experiences their cutting-edge co-op programs that seamlessly blend the professional and academic worlds. Kettering co-ops are a fully immersive working experience at the leading edge of industry. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to learn more about their incredible programs and to get more information.
Now, continuing with the shooter, could you talk me about your turret?
Yeah, so we have a turret that can shoot from close or from far. How we managed to do that is from the start of the season, we implemented a counter roller. It's a 1-to-1 drive between the main roller and the counter roller. It just gives that little bit of spin that we need so the artifacts don't jump from the goal. Basically, it's also a really cool thing about our turret is that it is actually suspended, so the whole base of the turret doesn't touch any other part of the robot. It's suspended on these carbon fiber rods, so the vibration doesn't transfer as much to the pinpoint, so we don't lose our position in the match. Also, we have this stopper right here that's on the same shaft as the roller, so when we don't want to shoot, the stopper is in this position, it's closed. And when we want to shoot, we just open it at the same time as we activate the PTO. And yeah, we also have an adjustable hood so we can shoot anywhere on the field.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, did you have any problems with the counter roller, like friction problems?
Oh yeah, so at the start of the season, we actually had multiple stages on the turret, on the outtake. It had a little bit too much friction, and it made us shoot a little bit inconsistent, you know. So after that, we just removed the stages and we made everything was on the same shaft. So as you can see, the motors are right here. They connect to this main shaft, and then another pulley connects to this, which has a gear, so it reverses the motion, and then just straight to the counter roller. So that's how we managed to do that.
Yeah. Now, can you start telling me about the double park mechanism?
Yeah, so this season when we saw the endgame, we knew a lot of people will do sliders, but they're a bit heavy and not as fast. So we decided to do a double park. How it works? Our robot goes by itself to 60 degrees, like right here, and then our alliance comes and sits on the plate. So it just has to touch it. So I think I can actually balance it. Yeah, so our robot stays right here by itself, and then the alliance comes on the plate, and then we just roll back. So as you can see right here, our robot doesn't touch actually anything, only the plate touches. So that's how we do our double parking system.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's actuated by only 2 Axon motors right here, really compacted in the robot, and it has a 7-to-1 reduction with movable pulleys. If you see right here, we managed to fit them really tightly. So these are the pulleys that give the reduction, and yeah, that's how we did it. We can park fully in like 1.7 seconds approximately.
Wow, that's
because
really fast.
the gravity helps us after some point. Yeah.
Now, talking me more about programming. What sequences and automatizations do you have on this robot?
So, as my colleague mentioned, we only require the press of a single button to launch the artifacts. We basically start the intake, the PTO engages, the stopper opens, and the flywheel starts rotating so that we can score from anywhere on the field. So another automation, talking about scoring, from anywhere on the field. We started at the beginning of the season with a hash map, but that was inconsistent. I mean, between the set points, we had no accuracy, so we decided to use a linear interpolation function to fill in between, and that worked just fine.
Yeah. And also, did you have any problems with ESD and pinpoints?
We thought we had some problems, but it was actually pinpoint's fault. I mean, it's not made to last the whole match. It's not made to be exact, to be perfect. At the end of the day, it's just an FTC element. It has some flaws, but we counter that with manual offset or with resets. We have 3 positions on the field where we can reset it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so also like with ESD, we had a lot of problems at the beginning of the season, but how we solved them, like we just took the paint. If you can see right here, this plate is all metal, so the paint actually makes the ESD a lot worse. So when we remove that, because it's so close to the field, we pretty much solved that problem. We don't have problems with ESD right now.
Wow, that's really cool. And also, one thing that I wanted to ask you, how do you use this LED here?
So during the auto, it shows the autonomous pair that we chose, so red for the red alliance and blue for the blue one, so we don't make mistakes. And for the tele-op, if the flywheel is pulled up and it's ready to shoot, it's purple, and if it's not, it's orange. We also have a far mode for the turret, and when we use that, it is green, so the driver knows.
Wow, yeah, that's really cool. Also, one thing that I forgot to ask you, how many degrees of freedom does the turret have?
355.
Okay.
So we use, like, for the rotation of the turret, we use 2 servo axons just right here with a 1-to-1 reduction. So we use them in position mode actually. So it's really easy for us to shoot. You just tell them where to go to the position, and yeah, we don't need a PID or nothing. So that's why we have so much freedom. The 5 degrees that we don't have is just for safety.
Yeah. And you wanted to use them on a servo position from the start, or is it something that you had a problem with continuous rotation and then you changed?
Yeah, so we actually did start the season with a motor on the turret. We didn't have servos, so we did have to have a PID on it. It was not as accurate. That was our problem. Like it took a lot of time to align with a goal, and yeah, we didn't like that, so we just changed to servos for faster alignment.
Yeah, thank you CyberMoon for this incredible robot. This interview was really amazing. You have a really cool robot that can shoot from everywhere, scores a lot of points. Your double park is amazing. I was David, recording from behind the booth.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. Build your alliance with so many other FIRST alumni who go to Kettering University. Every student at Kettering experiences their cutting-edge co-op programs that seamlessly blend the professional and academic worlds. Kettering co-ops are a fully immersive working experience at the leading edge of industry. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to learn more about their incredible programs and to get more information. Studica Robotics is inspiring teams to build better robots with their new array of FTC team options. Check out their updated bevel gears and Maverick hex shaft motors, Planetary gearbox options, and 6mm hex components and shafts for extreme power transmission. Go to studica.com/robots to learn more and apply for discounts.